The sound of a baby's loud wailing filled the small one-room apartment. Adi's cries pierced the air, but her mother, Chioma, barely glanced at her. With quick, angry movements, she tossed the baby onto the bed, not hard enough to hurt her, but with a cold detachment that made Chaik's heart clench. Chioma moved to the corner of the room where an old brown travel bag lay open. She yanked clothes from the metal hanger, folding some and cramming others in carelessly. Her face was tense, her lips pressed so tightly together that the muscles in her jaw pulsed. Chaik, standing in the doorway, could see the storm in her eyes. He kept his voice low, almost pleading. Chioma, the baby is crying. She needs her mother. Without pausing in her packing, Chioma's voice cut through the room like a knife. She's no longer my concern, Chaik. I'm leaving you. He stepped forward, desperation in his tone. If not for me, then stay for her. She's just a child. Our child. God gave her to us. Chioma finally looked at him, her eyes cold and hard. I didn't marry you to live like this. Since you can't give me the life I want, I'm done. Don't come looking for me. As for that baby, do whatever you want. I don't care if she lives or dies. The last words hit him like a slap. She zipped up her bag, threw it over her shoulder, and without another glance, walked out. The door slammed so hard behind her that the walls seemed to shake. Adi's cries filled the silence she left behind. Once, their life had been warm and full. But the day Chaik lost his job, everything began to crumble. Chioma's complaints became constant. The cramped room they moved into, the plain food, the absence of luxury she believed she deserved. Eventually, she walked out. Now, Chaik stood over Adi's tiny form. She was barely 4 months old, her little fists clenched, her face red from crying. He picked her up, rocking her gently, whispering words he didn't know if she could understand. I may not have much, Ada, but I swear to you, I will be the best father in the whole world. You will never feel abandoned. The crying slowly faded into soft whimpers. He held her close, letting the warmth of her small body remind him why he had to keep going. The next morning, hunger gnawed at Chaik's stomach, but he didn't care about himself. Adi's tiny cries for milk made his chest ache. With no food, no money, and no job, he strapped her to his chest with a faded wrapper, making sure her head rested against him. He rented an old wheelbarrow from a market shed and began hauling heavy loads for customers under the scorching Lagos sun. People stared, some in pity, some in curiosity. An elderly woman with soft, kind eyes stopped him. You're doing well, my son, she said gently, pressing 500 Nigerian nairas into his palm. This is for the baby. He bowed slightly in gratitude. Thank you, Mama. But not everyone was kind. A woman at a stall hissed loudly. When you were enjoying yourself in bed, did you think about responsibility? Now, see your life. Her words stung, but Chaik kept moving. The only thing that mattered was Adi's well-being. One Monday morning, Mama Ifioma, the same elderly woman who had given him 500 Nigerian nairas, approached him again. Chaik, let me take the baby today. The sun is too hot for her. I'll watch her until you return. Chaik hesitated. He had carried Adi's every day since Chioma left. But something in Mama Ifeoma's eyes felt trustworthy. All right, Mama, but please take good care of her. That evening, he returned to find Adi's giggling in Mama Ifeoma's arms. It was the first time in days he'd seen her so happy. From that day on, Mama Ifeoma cared for Adi's while he worked. Years passed. Chaik never remarried, pouring his life into raising Adi's. She didn't attend the best schools, but she learned more valuable lessons from him: honesty, hard work, and kindness. When she turned 18, Adi's completed secondary school and scored high in her JAM exams, securing admission to study medicine at a federal university. That evening, Chaik danced around their tiny kitchen, laughing. My daughter will be a doctor. I can walk in a market with my shoulders high. But that night, alone in his room, his joy faded. He had no money, not even enough to pay her first semester fees. He sat on the bed, whispering to himself, all these years of hard work, and I can't even send her to school. Determined, Chaik went from house to house in the wealthier parts of the neighborhood, kneeling before homeowners, offering to work as their house help if they would sponsor Adi's education. Please, sir. Wash clothes, cook food, clean your compound. I will do anything until she graduates, he pleaded again and again. But each time, the answer was the same. No, training a medical student is too expensive. After days of rejection, Chaik returned home, feeling like the walls were closing in. That night, he sat Adiz down. My daughter, I'm sorry. I can't afford it. She reached over, holding his rough, calloused hands. Daddy, you've done more than enough. We'll find another way. The next morning, Adiz sat on the edge of her bed long before sunrise, thinking. The quiet hum of early Lagos life drifted through the window, a rooster crowing, a distant call from a bread seller. She had deferred her admission and decided she would work, save, and return to school the next year. After days of searching and facing rejection after rejection, she finally found a position at a small, neat restaurant in Surulere. The owner, an elderly woman with a sharp tongue but a soft heart, took one look at her and said, You have a good face for serving customers. People will like you. The job was hard. She was on her feet from morning till late evening, serving steaming plates of jollof rice, cleaning tables, smiling at strangers even when she was exhausted. Some customers left generous tips. Others barely noticed her. Every night, she returned home, counted her tips carefully, and tucked them into a small wooden box. Chaik would watch her, smiling quietly, then kneel in the corner to pray. God, bless the work of her hands. Let her dreams come true. 7 months passed. Adiz had saved enough to open a tiny roadside food stall. Nothing fancy, just a few plastic chairs under a blue canopy. She cooked with love, and soon the aroma of her pepper soup and smoky jollof rice began pulling customers from the nearby offices. One humid evening, as she was clearing tables, she noticed a black leather briefcase pushed far under one of the chairs. She pulled it out and felt its surprising weight. Inside were neatly stacked bundles of US dollars and thick folders of official documents stamped with red seals. Her heart raced. That night, she took it home and showed Chaik. He opened it, whistled low, then shut it again. Ada, this belongs to someone important. We must return it. Money gotten the wrong way will bring no peace. The next morning, she arrived at the stall to find a man in an expensive agbada standing beside a black SUV, scanning the street with a worried look. Excuse me, he called as she approached. Did you, by any chance, see a black briefcase yesterday? Adiz handed it to him without hesitation. His face lit with relief. Thank you. Thank you so much, he said, then got in his car and drove off without another word. 2 days later, the same SUV pulled up again. This time, the man stepped out with an easy smile. My name is Chief Oladipo, he said. The documents in that briefcase were worth more than the cash. You saved my business and my family. I want to do something for you. Adiz assumed he might hand her an envelope of cash. Instead, he gave her a large envelope containing property papers. This is a fully furnished restaurant space in a busy part of town. It's yours now. Her knees felt weak. Chief, this is too much. No, it's exactly what you deserve, he replied. She ran home to tell Chaik. They both stood in their cramped room, staring at the documents, their hearts pounding. The next week, they moved the business into the new location. The restaurant began to thrive. Adiz hired 2 assistants and added new dishes to the menu. The air was filled with the scent of suya and fried plantain, the clatter of plates, and bursts of customer laughter. One hot afternoon, a woman walked in, her clothes worn, her eyes tired, and asked softly, Do you have any work I can do? I'll wash plates, mop floors, anything. Something in her voice tugged at Adiz's heart. She gave her the dishwashing job on the spot. A week later, Chai came to visit. As he walked into the kitchen, he froze. The woman at the sink had the same sharp cheekbones and almond-shaped eyes he'd once loved and hated. It was Chioma. He stepped back quietly, his chest heavy. That evening, he sat Adiz down. The woman washing plates, she is your mother. Adiz's face hardened instantly. My mother is Mama Ifioma. Not her, she said flatly. But Chaik urged patience. She agreed to give Chioma a better role in the restaurant. At first, Chioma seemed transformed, polite to customers, respectful to staff. But weeks later, her old habits emerged. Sharp words for the smallest mistakes, a tone that turned warm spaces cold. Customers began to notice. Staff avoided her. Adiz confronted her one evening. "We built this place with kindness. Your attitude is chasing people away." Chioma's eyes narrowed. "You give your lazy father everything, but me? Only a salary. You don't love me." Adiz's voice rose, her anger finally spilling. "Speak of my father like that again, and you'll regret it." The next day, Adiz removed her from the restaurant, but set her up with a small kiosk near her home. With Chioma gone, the restaurant's warmth returned. Word spread, and soon Adiz opened 2 more branches in nearby cities. She still thought of her abandoned medical dream, but realized her business had become her true calling. One quiet night, she and Chaik sat outside, the hum of the generator in the background. She took his hand. "Daddy, all of this, is God's answer to your prayers." He smiled, eyes glistening. "And you're my answer, Ada." Months later, word reached Adiz that Chioma was in the hospital. She had collapsed in her kiosk. Despite everything, Adiz went. She found her mother lying weak and frail, tubes in her arm. Chioma's eyes widened, then filled with tears. "Adiz, I have nothing left. No one else." Adiz's own eyes burned. "You hurt us, but you're still my mother." She paid for Chioma's treatment, stayed by her bedside, and when Chioma was discharged, she moved her into a small flat near Mama Ifeoma's home. Not to erase the past, but to give her a chance to live the rest of her life with dignity. One Sunday evening, Chaik, Adiz, Mama Ifeoma, and Chioma sat together in the restaurant, eating steaming plates of jollof rice. No speeches were made, but the silence was different now. Not cold, but warm, like a wound that had begun to heal.